Goodness, you're tight.
Ah!
Relax.
Ah!
Yes, now there we go. What have you put in here?
All right, everybody, welcome to MovieStrange episode 25, which is amazing we're this far in. And it's a special episode, obviously. We have somebody new up there, Kelly, famous producer from Baltimore.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Kelly. Kelly Gould.
Hi, honey.
Drew's better half,
Hi, honey.
we'll say. Are you talking to me or Drew right now?
I'm definitely his better half. I'm talking to both of you.
I thought you were talking to me when you said hi.
Well,
honey.
Ralph, some people think we are one, Ralph. So who knows?
They
who
keep
she's
trying to
talking
do that. I don't know what. The people are so jealous, but that's fine. All right. Well, Kelly, I don't know if you know this, but this particular show was what we call a Ralph's request. Okay. And what that is that's a cult movie that I've heard about. I've never, I'm cult curious, so I don't watch a lot of these things, but there's certain movies that I've heard about and I wanted to watch, and this was one of them. And this one, for our 25th, seems appropriate at this point. I don't know. Is called.
Well, also
Teeth. What? Go ahead. Also what?
Teeth. Well, also often with a Ralph's request, you don't have to answer this question right now, but there's a reason you've been reluctant to watch it. You put off watching Audition and other things. Is there anything that you found personally maybe upsetting about the premise of this movie? And that's why
the premise is that a woman has teeth in her vagina, so obviously that flipped me out a little bit. But that's all. That's all I'm going to say. Because I am not one of these people who is afraid of the vagina at all. Okay, as a matter of fact, a lot of these, I like to see some sort of vagina or something going on. So that's not worried, but it's one I heard about, and actually we'll get into it, but it's a little more tepid than I thought it would be, but I don't want to spoil my reaction to it.
I'm very curious to your reaction.
Yeah, I'll get there after we watch the trailer, I guess, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, okay?
So Teeth from 2007.
Teeth.
All right. What can I do for you, miss? Is this your first time? Okay. So I imagine you have no idea what to expect.
Not really.
Don't worry. I'm not gonna bite you. Just lie down. Put your feet right in here. Okay. Are you sexually active?
No, I just want to be checked out.
Okay, then.
I think there might be something weird going on inside.
What have you put in here?
There is something inside of me that's lethal. Dentata.
What?
It's Latin for teeth. It's what's inside me. Are you afraid?
This is too weird.
Just wait.
All right. Drew described the film. Even though I brought it, I can't describe this. Go ahead.
Okay, well, there's a young lady. We meet her. She's speaking. We see her as a little girl first. That comes up later. She's speaking at a club at school about maintaining purity for the Lord and not having a sex life and all that sort of stuff that feels very American, and religion loves purity and all that kind of stuff. And she discovers that she still has feelings that she doesn't want to respond to, and ends up with a boy who attempts to assault her And then she discovers that she has teeth in her vagina that protect her. And the movie goes from there. And it's really good. It's a really good movie, and it's considering that it's about vaginas with teeth, it's very realistic, relatable, and I think shows a really interesting look at how vulnerable a young woman can feel.
I have a question for my husband, actually. It feels relatable. I only have these teeth. What are you talking about? Feels relatable.
I'm talking about how, as a woman, as we discussed in another podcast in Promising Young Woman, that women are very vulnerable to physical violence from men. And so the Schadenfreude part that you mentioned at the beginning is what happens if somebody assaults a girl or woman and she's able to do something about it that most people aren't able to do. But the fact that she's so vulnerable to boys, to a doctor, to her stepbrother, that there's nothing fantasy about that. That feels very real. So that's what I mean.
Gotcha.
This, I told you I was, when I saw this, I got the Promising Young Woman vibe, okay? And part of it is, like, every person that's in this, every male person that's in this film, you suspect something is going to go bad. And it starts right at the beginning with when they have the scene. And okay, so the first scene is, it pans down on this neighborhood, and we're looking at a nuclear power plant. Okay. So right. I don't know if the director is trying to say, okay, something genetically happened to this girl. Maybe that's what they were getting at, that the nuclear power plant.
I think they're saying this is a radiation mutation, just so that it explains why she has it. It's not magic.
But they keep showing it through the whole film.
Nuclear power. Right. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, like, so she's an X-Men, except her power is vagina dentata instead of, healing or something.
So
that's just so you won't spend any of the movie going, why does this happen? What's going on in her body? She's got radiation.
Well, she immediately bites her new, going to be soon to be half brother. And that's what I mean. So every male in this thing.
Well,
comes
because
out,
he slips his finger. He slips his finger into her. He's a little kid, and she's a little younger, and he touches her when she doesn't want to be touched.
Well, we don't know she didn't want to be touched. He was showing her his.
Well,
that whole scene where she goes.
She's like 4. She's 4, Ralph. She doesn't want to be touched.
I forget how old was the soon to be stepbrother. Brad.
He looked like a year or two earlier.
Okay, so so
they're both
went
little
over,
kids.
But back up. I want to back up to the future stepfather of hers. I'm saying every male in this you were suspect by, and should have been. I get it. I understand that. And they even pulled some of the good guy ends up not being the good guy, and
sure.
And they start the movie with the whole abstinence thing. I got confused by the film. I don't know what the film was trying to say. Ultimately, I get what the film was trying to say, which is female empowerment, and she took control. When she took control, when she realized her power, that changed everything for her. Now, she was somebody who was abstinent and didn't want to give in to her urges and all that stuff, and the good guy ends up practically he raped her. He raped her in that cave up in the. We're spoiling this, by the way. I don't know what year this thing came out. What year did this come out? 2013?
2007.
2007. That early?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow. Okay, so it does show the fear of the vagina very early. And that scene, the one scene in the classroom where they just did the whole thing where they show the male penis and they're explaining what the male penis is about. And now we're going to talk about, and the teacher couldn't even say it. And they opened the book, and there's a sticker.
Couldn't say any of the words.
Right, the sticker, which is on the poster that I showed, the sticker's on the female parts. Couldn't even show everybody because everybody's afraid of the female parts. And I guess the
Ralph, it's called a vulva.
I know, and the one kid, her future boyfriend who rapes her in the cave, is the one who said the vulva. He said it's a vulva, right? That's the guy. No, I know what I'm.
Well, part of controlling people in the movie and in real life is not using the words, and not being honest about our bodies and things like that. And so, for them to hide it and pretend it needs to be hidden and it's dirty and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a big piece of what the movie's about, I think.
Yeah, I think the movie's about control, and in the beginning when she's talking about purity, that's all because men in her life have told her that that's what's most important, and that she should, of course, remain pure because her future husband will appreciate that so much. So they're just different ways of control. And, in school they can't talk about it because it's too, can't do it. And therefore nobody needs to know. So I think I think the whole movie's about control.
Well, completely. And once she gains control, which she does by the end of the film, she's super powerful. She's a superhero at that point, basically. Like when that guy picks her up at the end. And again, it gets back to kind of the every guy in this film was a jerk, except for one.
Well, her father wasn't.
Her stepfather.
I'm sorry, stepfather. Yeah, no, he wasn't.
Who I thought was going to be the jerk in the film. I thought he was going to be the jerk.
Yeah, no, he was kind.
Yes, very
he
kind.
couldn't help her. It was a weakness to him, but he was kind at least.
Well, it was a weakness. He couldn't help his own. He couldn't even deal with his own son.
Right.
I mean that scene, where
which means he can't protect his stepdaughter from his own son.
Well, his son killed his wife, basically.
Well, he let her die. Yeah,
he let her die.
Yeah, that's what happened.
So he was the one redeeming male character in this film because everybody else turned on. What was the character's name? I forget her name. Lovely person. The actress.
I'm totally blanking. Jess Wexler is
she
the
played
actress.
Dawn. That's
she
right.
Played
Dawn.
O'Keefe.
Right. Thank you.
Dawn O'Keefe. I had mixed feelings. I just think, like that scene we saw in the trailer or whatever, the clip that we showed. It's like I knew the guy was gonna. I knew he was gonna turn. I guess you have to. It's basically a horror film, right? It's a horror film, I guess.
Well, it's a lot of different stuff. It's a horror film. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it was originally billed as a comedy horror.
Yeah.
I think that was the director's intent.
It's dark comedy.
Released, and that was how it was marketed.
Yeah. It was way tamer than I expected. Like, as a matter of fact, it was way more thoughtful than I expected. And
okay.
And
is that the same as Tamer? Because there's like a lot of severed genitals and blood.
Well, they show a lot of the severed genitals. Yeah, you're seeing. I think that's. Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting. I guess I was expecting more brutality from the film. Yes, the brutality. All these guys. If you notice, when they get their Johnson chopped off, they can't
penis,
speak.
Yes.
Okay, penis. There's many names for it, Drew.
Good job.
Many names. Okay.
It's true.
None of them can speak. Obviously, they're freaked out. I get it, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know. I need some help.
Well, it sounds like you're uncomfortable with watching men's genitals be severed, and
I think
that's fair.
I would be slightly uncomfortable.
I think watching them shriek in agony.
They got what they deserved, though. Every single one of them.
That's
got
the
what
thing.
They deserved.
It's an extreme version, but I mean that's an important part of the movie.
I want to think that I am not that guy, but you just don't.
Right.
I mean, she may have decided in the middle of that you're not that you're that guy, and I'm gonna chomp this off, right? I mean, she had a beautiful the second kid or her second boyfriend until he got the phone call,
right?
That's what I mean. Like promising a woman,
she proves that she can have sex and enjoy it because she consents to it. She's afraid, I'm going to hurt you, and then she discovers.
Well, that scene
she
where
can
she
control
goes,
it.
Well, after she makes love with him the first time, and she goes in the bathroom and looks at herself in the mirror, right? Her look was completely different. Her lips seemed pouty, or she seemed like she's now a woman, basically, is what I think was going on there. She's a woman. And she trusted this kid. And then she goes back, and obviously he turns on her like he did. And bad things happened. And then the thing where he's buzzing his mother, mommy, you know.
Yeah. Well, that one, she punishes him because he's inside her when he gets the call and says, "Oh yeah, you were a bet to sleep with. It's not. I'm not that nice of a guy." That's not an accident. Like, she was being raped the first time and she accidentally reacted like that, which is fine because she was protecting herself. But this time she punished him, and then she really did that to her stepbrother at the end. Yeah. Who was so afraid of vaginas he would only have anal sex with his girlfriend.
Right.
And we know he was afraid of vaginas because of what happened to them when he was little.
Right.
So what happens to him is a long time coming, I think.
Yeah. Fed it to the dog. Jesus.
Kelly, it's
jump
weird.
in.
So in the scene where she's having sex with Toby and he seems like he's a nice guy, and then she goes in the bathroom, she's discovering that she's now a woman. She sort of has blossomed a little bit, like you mentioned.
Yeah. And
then she comes back and he's literally inside of her talking on the phone. I don't know that that's punishment. I mean, like, I guess it's kind of punishment, but at that point he has to know that he has done a very bad thing. And the only reason I think he maybe admitted that is because he never had good intentions, period.
Right.
well,
And
I think that's
it was
ultimately,
more of it was more of a protection thing.
Well, explain what happened. He's making love to her. Phone rings, and he picks up the phone, which mistake number one. And he says, "Yeah, she's right here. I told you." It was a bet he had. It was a bet that he was going to get her in bed because she was the abstinence queen of the school, right? They made fun of her at the beginning because she walked in and love is everything, and she had the ring that circled this, and so he came off at the beginning like he was worried about her, but he was part of the whole thing too, which is, I'm just going to bed this person who says I'm going to be abstinent. So he's doing that on the phone while he's inside her, and I guess he got what he deserved. I mean, I think so.
Yeah, I guess it's a type of punishment. I almost feel like it's a really involved
Extreme?
way to remove consent.
Yeah.
Like that's certainly a way to tell someone no after they've like he violated her. He violated her trust. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but there are always those guys that say like, "Oh, come on, just let me do this, let me touch this." You say no, and then they push and they push, and like at one point maybe there could have been consent, and then after that there's absolutely no consent, and you just want to get the hell out of there. And I feel like it was more defense than punishment, and maybe they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, I think defense until the last guy who picks her up. I don't think that was defense. When she looks at us, the viewer, and goes, "Okay, I know what I'm going to do," and she turns to him. That's the old creepy guy that picks her up and he's licking his lip. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, it's extreme. But that's when she realized, okay, I'm going to do this. That was not defense. She knew. She could have just, not done it, but she was going to do it. And he deserved it. I'm not saying he didn't deserve whatever was going to happen to him. He deserved it. Just like all of them even the gynecologist that was, to me, like you were saying, Kelly, to me, that was the worst scene in the film. Because
that scene bothered me more than anything else, just because as a woman, we've all been there. And that is such an incredibly vulnerable and upsetting experience, especially the first time. I mean, imagine, like, I know guys don't want to get their prostate checked, right? I know it's not fun for anybody. But imagine, like, you have to go in and be naked and open in front of someone who you don't know at all. You've just met them. And it's such an emotionally difficult thing to do. And then for him to do that, like, she should have taken it off at the wrist.
Wow.
He should have lost more than some fingers.
Right. And it harkens to this poor gymnast who all got, abused by the doctor and all. I mean, you put it's like priests or anybody. You put faith in trust in these people, and this is what this movie's saying is like, okay, this is, that was her way of fighting back. And he got his comeuppance, and I love the way they show the overhead shot of him getting his fingers maybe put back, and then a little later they show the kid who lost his penis, and he's in the same, and the doctor's like, what's going on here? People are losing all kinds of appendages.
So that was an interesting scene to me. That brings up a good point. So the doctors are around the kid that's lost his penis, right? And they're getting ready to put it back on. And even the doctors make a joke about this kid's penis and how maybe his penis wasn't big enough anyway.
Right.
It's like they didn't respect anyone, no matter what, with no empathy and no sympathy at any point for anyone.
That's what I mean. The movie to me I had mixed feelings about what the movie's trying to say. I know what it was trying to say. Look, it's got to be the movie. My opinion is it's about female empowerment, and you should never let what happened. You should not let it happen. Let it happen. I mean, you can't. Sometimes we just did this we're talking about Working Girl and all these other films we do and Promising Young Woman.
Yeah, you don't let it. You don't
let it happen. That's not what I'm trying to say. But then he does that joke about the small penis on the kid. It's like, what do you? I mean, you want it both ways. It's like you can't have it both ways. And it starts with the abstinence. I don't know. I had mixed feelings.
Well, I think it's upsetting that people that you are supposed to trust, like we know other people on another podcast, really, really, really trust doctors.
Right.
And we know that they aren't always, they're not always as great as you think they are. Right. And maybe people shouldn't be respected just because of their title. Maybe they should be respected more for their character. And that's where everybody in this movie fell down. Is they were of unkind character, I guess, or morally reprehensible.
Well, the whole movie is about how people act. How are you supposed to act? How do you actually act? And I keep thinking about, you were talking about the scene where you see she's in the bathroom and she looks in the mirror and she looks different.
Yeah.
When you first meet her, when you first see Jess Wexler, she's wide-eyed, talking about saving herself for marriage and being pure and all that stuff. And she looks happy, except it's like these weird dead-eyed happy of, it's pure and I have all the answers. And all that stuff really weirds me out anyway, all that idea of that women or anybody, well, first of all, that sex is dirty is nonsense to me. But that purity is something you have to protect. The one part of it they don't show in the movie that's in a lot of the real life purity stuff is basically you're protecting it for daddy till you give it to your husband. Like, it's all very creepy and weird. But when she makes her own decision, that's a different kind of joy. And the whole movie is about, the things that people are so ashamed that they feel, or that they won't talk about, or that they can't say, or that they can't look at a picture of, and all those things. And she literally tears her way out of it. The world is not different because she has this. The fact that she can be a high school girl who gets sexually assaulted and protect herself, that's what's different. That's the fantasy part of it, but it's not otherwise not real. You were talking about the ending, and it reminded me of Spanking the Monkey. As if you remember, at the end of Spanking the Monkey, he jumps off the cliff into the quarry. And so everybody thinks he's dead, but we see him in the last scene get into a car and drive off. And that's what she does too. She hits the road. She gets a fresh start away from her family that's either dead or not good for her. And it's goodbye to all the pain and all the lies. And she discovers that she's facing the same threats with this old guy.
So can we're being very serious about this movie that's got this historical potential trend of vagina dentata and all that. And it's very serious, and it's about women's empowerment and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure. It's also so much fun when she kicks off and starts biting dicks. That's fun. Like, I know it's probably uncomfortable for some people to cheer about, but not for all of us. And I feel like the movie got to be really fun at that point. Like, especially, let's not spoil. There's like one little beautiful gem, and you should see this movie. And let's not spoil everything by not mentioning the one beautiful gem at the very, very end. Right? Like, we've talked about how her brother tries to have sex with her, and she bites his dick off.
Half-brother.
Her half-brother, sorry.
Stepbrother.
Doesn't make a difference. Gonna just say it doesn't make a difference. But he has sex with her against her will, and she bites his dick off. And then something else happens. And that is the funniest thing. I cackled about that all afternoon.
I think I already mentioned that, didn't I?
I don't know, maybe. I didn't think so. Yeah. But just the kid doesn't have a chance at getting his dick sewn back on.
No.
And I found that really fun to cheer for.
Well, remember,
and I'm not trying to be man-hatey. It was just fun to finally see a movie go in that direction.
No, I liked when she decided.
He's a terrible person. Yeah,
but I also liked when she realized, you know what, I can do this. Like when the first guy she did it to, it was like Drew was saying, complete accident. Yes, he was attacking her, and she did it out of her reaction. Okay. Mm-hmm. The second guy, she kind of was starting to feel her oats and figured out. By the time Brad had to go, and she realized that Brad was the reason probably her mother died a little sooner than she expected, she went in there to she was going to have, I don't want to say regular sex isn't the right way to put it, but she was going to seduce him and bite it off with her vagina, not her mouth, bite it off. And then he flips her over, and now it's like, oh, God, here we go. And
game on, dude.
He deserved what he got. Okay? Whatever happened.
I mean, I would argue the second guy completely deserves what he gets. I don't think
they all deserved. Everybody that got their dick bit off deserved it. Yeah, there's not a dude in the movie that doesn't deserve to get dentata. That's why I thought the stepfather was going to be part of this problem, and it turned out he was the one good guy in her life, and it turned out that he
was good, but he was weak.
Well, he was weak when it dealt with his son. Yes, that's that whole scene where he tries to get his son out, and his son attacks, puts a dog on his chest and was ready to, I
mean, your parents are supposed to protect you when you're vulnerable, when you're a little kid.
But we're all
he didn't do that. He doesn't deserve to be punished the way that the rapists in the movie do, but he needs to be left behind.
No, but I expected him to be one of the rapists, which is what surprised me about that they didn't go in that direction, because I thought every dude was going to be a problem.
Instead of most dudes.
That's not. I mean, most dudes. I wouldn't.
No, I'm saying in the movie.
In the movie, yes.
In the movie, most of the
dudes were a-holes. Yeah, complete.
I mean, is that true? In high school, that you've got a lot of people that are ready to take advantage of you like that?
I think everywhere. I mean, it's still happening. This doesn't stop.
Yeah. It seemed real to me.
Would it stop if guys knew that women had teeth in their vagina? That's the question.
100%.
Exactly. Yes, it would.
Yeah.
Yes, it would. If you knew that it's one wrong move and your dick is gone, this would prevent a lot of shit.
Well, it's beyond one wrong move if you're raping someone, but I think there's a reason that this is across. They talk about it a little in the movie, but this is across thousands of years of human folklore and mythology. This idea of different women or creatures or monsters or goddesses or whatever. I mean, literally around the world, every culture, every continent has some version of a woman, a female character that has teeth in her vagina that will punish you or stop you. And there's all sorts of stuff about the fear of being penetrated, and that men should be afraid or should experience what it's like to be afraid to be penetrated. Instead, we could penetrate and then not get everything back. I mean, it all comes back to the same stuff about her. She turns that vulnerability around, and it is a fun movie. It's a campy movie. I mean, you forget when you first see the two. Yeah, when you first see the two nuclear cooling towers, there's a pair of boobs looming over her house. I mean, that's not subtle. The whole movie is full of sexual imagery. It's just
he's
how
only
you feel
seeing
about
these
it
things
and how you're supposed to feel about
I miss,
it.
Ralph.
Why wouldn't those be two big giant penises? Why are they two boobs? I didn't see that. I saw two smokestacks from a nuclear plant.
Most penises don't, as in my experience of my penis, don't and porn don't suddenly turn that shape at the bottom. But I don't know. I'm not telling you your body is wrong. Ralph.
Do most boobs leak smoke?
Yeah, I'm confused.
No, but they have a curve to them that's different than the shape of a penis.
Am I broken? I'm confused.
No. I don't.
No, I've never seen smoke.
I think he was just trying to say, like you said,
you.
it's a mutant. I think it was just mutant. That's all that was. It was just to say they're living in a neighborhood and she developed teeth because of the thing, the nuclear.
And her mom got cancer. Her mom got cancer from the radiation.
Right. And Brad
it affects
was just,
everything.
Now
I always like to see
person,
like a Mystery Men kind of spin-off from this. Like, what else are their other amazing talents?
Can you imagine if there was somebody that actually, like this superhero who could take men and just bite their dick off? There'd be no rape in the world anymore. Nobody would, I'm telling you, if you, okay. And the other character that came through was Brad's girlfriend at the very end when she kind of like realized what the hell was going on. Okay, can we just talk about the gynecologist? Because all he lost was his fingers. And
that's all, quote unquote, that he violated her with. If you violate her, you don't get it back.
You wanted the whole
wrist. You're right.
He lubed
You're right.
past.
That's true. You're right.
Past. It was this. Like,
yeah.
You're right. That's true. You're right.
He should have lost more.
Yeah, it should have come off at the wrist. I'm telling you, that's
I don't know.
That's fair.
I didn't walk away from this film like I walk away from some of these going, oh my God, I'm so glad I saw it. It was okay. And honestly, I don't want to keep doing this, but after seeing Promising Young Woman, and I kind of got that same vibe, which is like the good guy ends up being the bad guy. The one that's going to be the boyfriend, is going to turn out to be bad. I knew that kid was going to rape her in the cave or whatever, he's at the water thing. You knew that was going to happen because they just set it up so much. And it had to, because she had to realize what's going on in her, in her own body, which is what allowed her to go research and figure out that this is a real thing.
Right.
Well, in the film.
But you didn't say watching that scene, oh, it's totally implausible. He's a doctor. He would never do that. It wasn't that kind of thing. Like a high school guy. Yeah. Oh. No, I'm saying that the kid, like a high school kid, essentially going along with what the girl said about waiting and being pure and all that stuff, and we can police each other and all that nonsense. He didn't bring her to a cave to snuggle and talk about the Bible.
By the way, that whole visualization of that first scene where they're in the waterfall lake, and I mean that evoked all kinds of sexual.
It's not a subtle movie.
No, not subtle. That's true. Not subtle. Has this director gone on to do anything else? I'm sure he has. I hate to do that because we end up getting comments about, of course I've been doing things. I'm still.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't say he didn't do anything, so you can't get mad at me for that.
Right. I'm not mad at all.
So, Ralph, were you afraid to see this movie? Like, were you nervous to watch this movie, or what stopped you from seeing it previously?
Just the gore, just the implied gore that might happen. Like I will never, no matter what we do in this film, I'll never watch The Human Centipede, right? Because I got a good idea what's going to go. Yeah, never. Not going to do it.
See, I think my hard line would be at, what is that movie called, Andrew? A Serbian film?
Oh, yeah, we haven't seen that. Is that what that's called?
Like, I wouldn't watch that. Human Centipede is so overrated and boring.
Really?
It's really boring.
I have no desire to see that. Cannibal Holocaust, is that another one that's like a big...
Yeah, it's a big one, but that also has cruelty to animals and whatever. I mean, Eli Roth made his own version.
The green Inferno.
The Inferno or something, which I've seen because it's all makeup. It's not really hurting animals and hurting people and stuff. And if you're into that kind of stuff, that's fine. I don't like it. I don't think it's wrong to like it. I saw it and I was like, I mean, if you want to see a movie with guys getting their eyeballs popped out and eaten, this is delivering that. It's just not really what I'm looking for.
No, honestly, I don't know. what about this film that made me hesitate? I don't know. Vagina, teeth in vagina, I guess, might make me hesitate. I'm not, like I said, I'm not afraid of vagina, but, I don't want to see a vagina chomping on a penis for sure. I mean, I guess it may be too close to home. Because we're vulnerable. Unlike women, we're vulnerable. Men are vulnerable. I know this sounds stupid because it's ridiculous, but we're all hanging out. You guys, I guess this movie brings up how powerful that you could be if you decided that this is, if just imagine if there were actually teeth, how powerful that would be. It's insane. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Now that I've seen it, no big deal. It's,
Yeah. But I mean, for every movie, for every horror movie where the virgin gets killed, or for every crappy movie where the drunk prostitute gets killed and raped, it doesn't matter. This is kind of an awesome revenge movie.
Oh, it's a great revenge movie.
It's a great revenge movie.
Listen, as soon as that kid picked up the phone and answered his friend, I was like, go for it, girl. You got it. Just don't even waste your time. And she did. And you see the light go on in her head. Right. He deserved it. And yes, and I wanted, I loved what happened to the gynecologist for sure. And at the end, when that guy picks her up and she turns to us and she goes, what do you expect me to do? It's like basically what she's saying is, okay. And we're all in. It's like, go for it. He deserves
I think it's interesting that you felt vulnerable about watching this, which is how women feel a lot of the time. And it's not all guys. I'm not saying all guys. I'm not saying most guys. I'm saying a lot of guys. But it's interesting to me that it made you feel vulnerable in a way that is normally reserved for women.
Well, I wouldn't say I was afraid of watching the film. I mean, Drew and I think we've talked about this before. I was online. I met Maria through online dating. And the one thing I learned is that every time you guys go out with somebody, potentially that's somebody who could hurt you. Yep. And that's not a feeling I've ever had to deal with, obviously.
Right.
And it's hard for me to put myself in that position. I just can't. That's not why. To me, it was like, yeah, it's genital mutilation is scary. I mean, nobody wants to think about it or have it happen. So that's why maybe I didn't want to watch this film. I mean, who wants to see that? I mean, what? I mean, I was, I'm circumcised, so I was mutilated very early, but I don't remember that. And I just didn't want to see. But in the context of this film, it was done well. It was not gory. Yes, you saw a lot of penises laying on the ground, but that's all you saw. I mean,
it's just a little.
That's not nothing.
That's it. But no, I'm
not saying there's anything bad in you being vulnerable.
No.
Watching this because it brings up things. I just think it's interesting that movie can turn that vulnerability around on its head in a way that a lot of films can't. Like Promising Young Woman, which I thought was fantastic. Probably, I know it evoked a response in a lot of people that was not all men. And I don't know that movie made men feel vulnerable in that way. It maybe made people realize some things.
As we heard in some of our podcasts, people were still blaming her for what?
Yeah, she set
I just heard this. I was just watching a podcast today, this fight between two web people. And the man's defense about him shaming a woman and making her feel bad was as bad as what happens when guys go, it's her fault. She dressed nice. I can't help it. I'm just a dude. Right.
Right. It's bullshit.
And, I'm not saying I'm an innocent bystander that I've never we all do it. It's just the nature. I've never, been in a situation where I'm worried about my penis chomped off because I'm being a dick. That's not going to happen. But, it's out there. And this movie, like Promising Young Woman, kind of brings up stuff that, and this is way earlier, like you said, 2007. I think it's a good movie that high schoolers should watch. I think they should watch this. I think it's definitely high school boys should watch this because they should worry every time that they're with a woman, a female, or whatever, whoever that other person is, doesn't matter. That you have to respect them. They should do that. They should. I mean, they should be taught respect from day one. And it'll always be, you know, it'll be what it's supposed to be and not getting your dick chopped off because you're an asshole. Or your fingers chopped off because you're a professional. And imagine, that's the beauty of this revenge thing. Just imagine if you could do that to the person who's abusing you in front of your parents, as you know, this pushing up doctors and pushing up priests and all this other stuff we do. Just imagine.
Yeah, you can't put anybody on a pedestal like that.
No, cannot. So
nope.
Yeah.
Anyway, what a hell of a film to talk about. I don't know.
It's
anything else, Kelly? Anything else you want to add before we move on to the next 8 words?
Oh, I don't think so. Is that what's next? We have a 2x4?
We had 2x4.
2x4. Someone's been watching the show.
I mean, would you recommend this film? I'd recommend the film. Like I said, I had mixed feelings. I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny and grotesque. And I did like the revenge angle, for sure. I really was rooting for her. I was rooting for her at the end, 100%.
Yeah. I love the dog. I love the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a good time watching it, cheering for her, which I don't know what that says about me, but I thought it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's like Ms. 45. You know that old film from maybe 70-something about a woman who gets raped and goes instead of using her vagina, she's using, you know, a gun. I mean, we like revenge films. There's no question.
Sure.
Whether it's, you know, male on male revenge or this kind of thing. But this was I guess that's what, you know, what made me hesitant about it was I knew it was a revenge film, but it's also chomping dicks, right? And nobody likes that. As a guy,
but it's also a coming of age film. I mean, she lives in this fantasy world put on her by men of purity and all that nonsense, and then
not
she
just
realizes
men. Well, a lot
the whole
of people
thing is like, I'm saying, but like this woman, this young girl who becomes a woman, it's okay to feel. Well, first of all, it's okay to feel anything.
Right.
Feel whatever you feel. You can't control that. But to make her feel guilty about what she's feeling and that it's evil to want to do normal, natural human things. I mean, sexuality is part of what makes humans human, and the way that people control that.
I have to, you know,
is
high school.
Well, but I mean,
young.
she would.
Yeah.
Well, but she's normal. She's a normal girl. She's like, I like that boy. I feel something.
Right.
That's really normal to feel that when you're in high school, when you're older.
Sure.
And I think the movie is relatable on that level too. I mean, it does feel like you know, I mean, even if you watch Carrie, which that's another, you know, isolated girl in high school with a lot of blood, you know, she's in a terrible place with her mother and all that stuff, but she's still a kid. You still see her as a person. You know, she still
absolutely
has power and gets revenge. And I think that that
movie has one of my favorite endings. I love that in Carrie. It scares me every time.
The hand?
Yeah.
I stuck a pizza on the roof of a car because I was at a drive-in seeing that film, and it scared me so much that the pizza hit the top of the car when that hand comes out of it. Yeah. Oh my God. But you know, that's an interesting comparison. That is very similar. Right, young girl going through her sexuality. That is a whole scene where her friends are throwing tampons at her in the shower because she's had her period in front of everybody. And wow, that's a good comparison.
It's all shame.
No,
it's all shame. It's all shame. Shame.
That's the one thing they didn't do in this film is they didn't do any girl on girl maybe attack. That would have been interesting. So that just shows.
But you guys just talked about all the girl-on-girl attacking stuff in Working Girl, which I think you guys talked about on another podcast earlier tonight.
Well, the fact is,
I'll be curious to see how that goes.
I did find this an interesting double feature.
Yeah, it was a weird night last night to watch Working Girl and Teeth. Wow, it was like the start of a revolution, and then the evolution was complete, maybe?
Yeah, but it isn't, right? It isn't. Teeth is a fantasy, right? It's really, women are not going to develop teeth in their vagina. So it's a superhero. It's an origin story for a superhero that doesn't exist. And that's,
Working Girl's a fantasy too.
I told you how I felt about the end of that film.
Yeah.
And everybody thought I was crazy, but, and it wasn't my thought. It was a thought somebody wrote about.
That was a better fairy tale.
I loved when she looked at us, that looking us at the camera and then turning to the guy, and you can see her sexuality just all over her face. It was insane. It was great. It's an origin. It's like Superman doing this, pulling the thing off, and coming out of the phone booth. It was the same thing. So, anyway.
Well, that confidence, that poise, that assuredness, that's what being violated can take away from you, male or female. And so for her to feel that way, to have that, that is power that she has. And that last frame of the movie, that last shot of the movie really shows you that. It's very powerful, like you said. Right.
But again, it's a fantasy because people don't have teeth in their vagina, and it's not going to happen, and that's the sad part. It's going to keep going on and on and on. And I don't, anyway. Okay. All right.
So we went from Ralph is a little nervous about getting penis chopped off to it's really too bad that all women don't have teeth in their vagina.
Listen, don't you think it would solve a ton of problems if really you knew every time you went in that's a potential that you're going to lose your dick?
No, because I don't have that problem of. But I don't have that problem.
No, I don't either. I'm not saying that. But for the people who need it,
for
those people who abuse people, if they knew that going in, like the doctor, that at any minute you're going to lose your appendages or your dick or whatever, your whole attitude would change. It would be a different world. Fantasy. But.
Look, I mean, the idea of a woman consuming you. That's. I mean, I was trying to find. I can't remember the name of the story, but there's a short story by an Israeli author named Amos Kanan about a man and his wife is pregnant. And she gets bigger and bigger and bigger until she bursts open and she's full of insects and eats him. And that's like a long fear of being consumed by orifices, by women, all this kind of stuff. And this movie says, well, in this situation, you have something to be afraid of. Because remember, she can't hurt you until you've already violated her. Like she's already been penetrated against her will. She's already been attacked by a doctor. She's already been attacked by a boy. She's already been betrayed by a boy. She has to suffer that first, and then she can punish it. It's not like she's shooting teeth at dicks just walking around in high school.
No, she's not. She's not arbitrary about it.
I would watch that movie too, though.
I would imagine it's also very traumatic to have appendages ripped off inside you and then flop out with lots. Like that would be really traumatic.
That's one of the best shots in the movie.
That is the best shot in the movie.
Yeah,
where Brad's looking.
Would be so traumatic.
Right. Yeah, you should watch the movie for that and whatever goes on after that because
it is. In spite of the seriousness of this conversation, it is.
Fun ride.
I know. We went overboard. I guess we went serious, maybe because we just did Working Girl too, and it's like I'm trying to, and honestly, for me, listening to something that happened on my favorite YouTube channel. A woman who got sexually harassed and the guy's defending himself with what he did is just pissing me off. It's like, come on, dude. You're making everybody look bad. Shut the frick up and just own it and say you're sorry and move on. Don't try to explain what you did. And they all try to do that. Like even the guy in the first rape is like, it's okay. I know it's not okay. I don't want to be woke. It's not about being, it's just, anyway, shouldn't do this. Okay.
No, it's just matters. Just matters.
We got to go on some regular cult movies where people are sticking needles in eyes and audition and whatever the hell, whatever's going on. Kitty. No, Kelly, are there any cult movies that you don't want to see that maybe we should do?
Well, she said a Serbian film.
Oh, Serbian film.
Yeah, a Serbian film is a hard no for me.
Okay.
Animal violence is a hard no.
Okay.
What culty films do I want to see you?
Is there any film?
I don't think
that you've known about.
I don't think she wants. I don't think she wants to watch Martyrs.
Oh, you've never seen Martyrs?
That's for her.
Have I never seen Martyrs, Drew?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. I don't.
It's
probably not.
One of the glorious movies.
I actually enjoyed Martyrs, not for the gore, but I thought it was a well done. Like I said, I've seen it once. I'm good, but it's beautiful. Beautifully made.
Yeah.
It's not beautiful. It's beautifully
It's got
made.
a real story and a real point.
Yeah.
It's also got a lot of flayed people.
Oh, it's brutal.
So you know what might be an interesting one for you guys to watch? So we all know that I grew up watching anything they had at the video store, which when we first got our VCR when I was in third grade, that wasn't a lot of movies. So whatever they had, I watched. And there were some really, really disturbing ones, like... let's see, like Gothic.
Right.
Gothic is a very have either of you seen Gothic?
I know of it. I haven't seen it.
That's
With
the
Julian
Ken Russell
Sands?
movie? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ken
Maybe.
Russell,
That's
right?
quite a movie.
Yeah.
Especially for a child.
That was pretty bizarre. And Andrew, did we ever figure out what the name of that one movie was where he pulls out the prostitute's fingernails? If anybody knows what this movie is, please tell me.
What?
Where a guy suckles from his mother because he needs her or loves her or something, and then she makes him go out and pull fingernails out of prostitutes with pliers. There was that
You saw
one.
this as a child?
I did.
Oh my God.
I did. I was kind of unsupervised a lot, Ralph.
I'll say, holy cow. There's a
Yeah.
movie I remember as a kid, and I've been
I don't know
trying
that
to
movie,
figure
honey,
this
but we'll
movie
figure
out
it out.
about women. I think it's in an airplane who paralyze dudes. Like they give them a needle shot or something, and the guys they can feel everything that's going on, but they can't move. And an audition tapped into that, obviously. But there's a movie I remember as a kid where there's a group of women, like they're I don't know if they're superheroes or they're bad. I don't know what they are, but they paralyze dudes. And if I ever find that movie,
And what do they do to them?
I can't. It's like in there. You know how it's cloudy when
It's
stuff
blocked.
is way
You
back.
can't get it out.
Yeah.
No, like Andrew and I were talking earlier. I love movies like the really silly, campy movies.
Okay.
Like a great one is Toxic Avenger, which I think we read they're just remaking with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
And like
Peter
Toxic
Dinklage
Avenger,
as the Toxic Avenger.
I love. Oh my God, that's so funny. Like I love that movie. Those trauma movies are awful and amazing. And that is where I learned to produce everything. There were no textbooks when I became a producer. There was no internet. There was no nothing. But Lloyd Kaufman, that's the right name, right? Andrew?
Yep.
Lloyd Kaufman? Lloyd
Yeah, I've
Kaufman
met
wrote
him. I've
this
seen
book
him take
called
his pants off.
Didn't need to know that, thank you. Lloyd Kaufman
He does all the
wrote
time.
a book called Everything I Know About Making Movies, I learned from the Toxic Avenger.
Oh, really?
And it's surprising how much that I've built an entire very successful career on that book and the Boogie Nights director's cut. The commentary.
Yeah.
Well,
because
that's
it's
one.
practical stuff.
That guy's
You
doing
wanna make
Practical. I
something,
love
this
those
is what it
silly
takes.
80s movies.
That guy's still making movies, Toxic Avenger guy, I think. Trauma?
Yeah, Lloyd
Trauma?
Kaufman still makes movies.
Trauma. I don't know that anyone could stop him if they tried.
Right. I have some trauma titles on the list that you could pick one day. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
see.
there's a lot I remember as a kid. I watched a lot of stuff. But, as I got older, I realized I just don't want to. There's certain. I'm just trying to think of movies that I've walked out only on a couple, but.
What have you walked out on?
Well, Midnight Express, but that had to do with bringing a date into that film.
Okay.
And the scene where the woman comes to the jail and he puts her boobs up against the glass. That scene. But I didn't have to pay for that movie. I got free tickets, so I didn't feel so bad walking out on that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
I don't know, Andrew, have we ever walked out on a movie? Have you and I ever physically left a movie theater?
You and I have never walked out of a movie. I've
I mean,
walked
I
out
fall
of one movie in
asleep
my life.
randomly at terrible movies that you make me go see.
Well,
like
I do
that
that.
doesn't
But,
count.
like, have you ever left a movie? Have you ever left a movie because you're just like, oh, this is awful. I can't take another second.
Only one. I saw
one?
Nil by Mouth, which is Gary Oldman's
said that.
directorial
Yeah, you said
debut, and it wasn't terrible. It was just whatever you don't like about shaky cam. It was the most extreme, disorienting, actually nauseating version. I just said, I can't. I watched it for 40 minutes. I said, I don't even know if this movie is good or not. I cannot take it. And I don't get nauseous from 3D and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was the visceral experience of being in the theater was so unpleasant. I had to leave.
Yeah.
And I certainly sat through whole movies that I didn't like. I'll start watching a movie at home, and if I don't like it, I'll stop watching it. That was hard for me to get to do eventually because I was really obsessive about it. But if I go to a movie and I paid my $400 a ticket and popcorn or whatever, I can't imagine what would make me walk out. Because if it just sucks, it just sucks. And I don't really get offended by movies, but I don't think Kelly and I have ever walked out of any movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've walked out of a movie. I remember once I actively prayed to fall asleep during Dark City.
Really? You
Oh,
didn't like
yeah.
Dark City?
Oh
That's
God,
a
I
terrible
hated Dark
movie.
City.
Oh, I like Dark
It's an
City.
awful
That's so
movie.
funny. I like it. I think it's
Hated
interesting.
it.
Now, see,
Oh,
that's
you know,
the
you
movie.
know what else that I truly hated, and had I not been with Sean, who you guys know from Yippee-Ki-Yay, I would have walked out in a heartbeat, and I will never sit through any of these movies again. And Sean and I actually threw popcorn. We made up jokes about the movie. We were the only people in the theater. It was a horrible movie, and somehow it spawned way too many spin-offs. And that
I know what
be,
you're talking about.
Oh, I know you know what I'm talking about, but now I can't remember what it's called. Is it just Riddick?
No, Pitch
What
Black
was the first one?
Oh,
one.
Pitch
Pitch
Black.
Black.
Pitch
That's
Black.
the name. Oh,
Yeah. Oh my God, that's horrible.
God, Sean and I had fun making fun of that.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I love those silly movies.
Sean wishes he
I
wrote
love
it
them.
though.
Well,
Yeah, probably. Now, see,
All right.
Dark
He's
City.
done
Dark
plenty of
City.
What's
work
wrong with
John
Dark
Schneider.
City? Oh, here we go. What's wrong
Well,
with Dark City?
Dark City was the one that I didn't really want to see. It had a great trailer, amazing trailer, and I didn't really want to see it. So just like Mortal Kombat in college, I told my friends, if you get me drunk, I'll go to the movies. So they got me drunk. We went to the movies, and we laughed at it the whole time. And it was really is a terrible movie. And then when we left, we were chatting with one of the ushers back when movie theaters had that. And this is in Los Angeles. He said, you know, the director was here. We said, what? And he said, yeah, Alex Proyas, some directors do this. He was going around opening weekend to different theaters to see the audience reacting. And he was really upset because there were a couple people laughing so loud. It really upset him. And I was like, that was us. Wow. So
that's
Alex
not the
Proyas,
first
I'm
time
sure you
you've
watch
done
all
that,
our
though,
shows.
Andrew.
Well, with the
That's
director in the
happened to you
room,
more than once, where there was a powerful person in the room, and you were perhaps misbehaving slightly for polite moviegoers.
well, let me apologize to Alex Proyas. It was not personal. I didn't care for your work. I preferred The Crow, but I am sorry if I hurt your feelings. But yes, I saw Michael Jackson's movie Ghosts, his 40-minute short premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, and he said a line that children reacted to, and I screamed, "Ew!" really loudly, and people threw popcorn at me, and Michael Jackson was in the front row. So, yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens.
That's my
I
husband.
like Dark City.
Boy.
Dark City. Jennifer Connelly's in Dark City. How can that be bad? That's
She's great.
She is.
Yeah, she's great.
She's great.
I like everybody in it. It's not good. I didn't like it.
All right, we got to move on. This is great, Kelly. Love having you. You got to do more of these, not just with women and vagina
thanks for
stuff.
having me. I had fun. I hope I added a little bit of a feminist perspective. Not that you guys
definitely
wouldn't have done that.
No, well,
But-
I think you gave a more feminist perspective. We were more worried about getting our dicks
Fair.
eaten off. That's all that is. All right, so now it's
Thank
time
you,
for
honey.
2x4. Now, Kelly, the way this works is I know I say 2x4, but it's 8 words because it's 2 films. Now it's time for 2 movies, 4 words. And here are the words I get to pick from. Airliner, Disaster, Mystery Forever. Ooh. Adolescence, Asylum, Rotting Buddies. You know what? I love airliner disaster movies, so I'm going to go with this one. Airliner Disaster
Okay.
Movie Forever. What have I picked?
You have picked a true sample of 1980s ridiculousness, where the ambition
I know what it is. I know what you can tell me.
inverse
Go ahead.
to the budget and the in some level the quality of the script, but it's
Wait, let
the
Ralph
80s
guess. I'm
sci-fi.
curious.
Wait,
Wait, don't tell us.
It's,
Wait,
it's-
don't tell him.
I'm going to guess
Okay.
it's millennial, or is it millennial?
Very good. Millennium, starring
With,
Chris
Chris
Christopherson and
Christopherson.
Cheryl Ladd.
And Cheryl Ladd.
Cheryl
I
Ladd.
actually love this film. I cannot wait to
Oh,
watch it
good.
again. No, I
Oh,
know.
good.
I know this one. This is great.
I haven't watched it in years, so I'm looking
Oh
forward
my
to
God,
it.
this is so funny.
I
Yeah,
don't think I've
Cheryl
ever seen
Ladd.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're in
It's
for a
so
treat.
stupid. It's awesome. I love it. I can't wait to watch it
Yep.
again. So
Good.
All
Very
right.
good.
Did I guessed it right? Look at that. Boom.
You guessed
You
it.
did.
You guessed it right.
bad.
Millennium.
All right.
Millennium.
All right. So next week we do Millennium. Thanks, guys. Have a safe
right.
week. Kelly, great having you on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I like
Thank you,
my penis
Kelly.
attached to my body just the way it is, so I'm going to be a good guy.
A
I'm not going to do anything wrong.
Perfectly reasonable feeling.
All right.
That's fine.
All right. You guys have a good one.
See you guys.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.